All right, guys, welcome back to part 2 of the how to scale a surplus fund business. The goal of this series, if you don't know, is to give you guys kind of the layout and blueprint of how some of our students from our upper level mastermind Scale Mastery have grown their business to $20, $30, $40, $50, even $100,000 per month. So if that's what you're looking for, you are in the right place. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. Before I do, I just want to make a disclaimer. Listen, I'm not the all-knowing God of surplus funds. I don't know everything there is to know. But I feel very compelled and very qualified to make these videos based on the track record we have with Scale Mastery and, of course, just everything at surplusfund.com we have going on over there. Now, this is not a pitch video. I'm not selling anything in this video. But I am going to say one thing. If you're interested in this and you really want to take this to the next level and you want to get a custom one-on-one plan for you, we are actually doing one-on-one calls for free, 100% for free. Talking about this, where we work with you guys one-on-one for 45 minutes to an hour, and get you a plan that makes sense for you in terms of actually growing this business and turning it on autopilot. Now, before you can do that, we do require you watch a 15-minute, 20-minute pre-training video, but that link's down below. Once you watch that video, it'll prompt you if you're interested to book that free call. And again, talk to one of my team members where you can, again, get that customized plan for you. Because while these videos are amazing, I'm going to be dropping a lot of value in these videos, so make sure you stay to the end there. I can't give you customized advice in these videos because I'm actually talking to you. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you guys have not seen part 1, this is part 2. So again, that's not how numbers work. Go back to part 1 and watch that first, and then come here. But with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about automated marketing and sales, basically. Automated marketing. I want to put auto marketing / sales. Excuse my handwriting. And basically the goal here is to build a system that, gets people to, raise their hand automatically and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about my money that's owed to me, and potentially working with you without you having to actually call these people, right? Whether you're working or you're not working, you're sleeping, you're vacationing, whatever it is, we want this process to be happening automatically without your input. And so that's kind of the idea of this video, and this is what we're going to be talking about. And once then, you get those people that are interested, then instead of having to cold call everyone, you can only call the people, or you book a call to people that are actually interested in working with you. So your close rate goes through the roof. The amount of time you spend on this goes way down to like 5% of the amount of time that you're spending before. And it's just a much more efficient way of running this business. Now, before I explain all this, guys, make sure you, of course, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Once per month, we do a free giveaway where I give out some mini courses that we normally charge for free to a couple lucky winners that get notified when I drop that live stream link for the giveaway. So make sure you're subscribed and notified. Make sure you attend. We normally have like a couple hundred people on there, and you want to be one of those people so you can potentially win a free mini course. Now, with that said, before we can really talk about automated marketing and sales, we need to talk about what that even means. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to define what marketing is in surplus funds, and we need to define what sales is in a surplus fund setting, okay? Now, if you guys have done marketing before, or if you've read the dictionary definition of marketing, this is going to be a little bit different than that. This is the definition that we've made up that applies specifically to surplus funds. So it may not apply to other things, but this is how we look at it with surplus funds. So marketing is simply identifying, I'm going to put ID, and qualifying leads, okay? And I spelled that definitely wrong, but that's okay. Sales is simply closing those leads, okay? So again, marketing, you're identifying that it's the right person, and then you're qualifying that they're even interested in this money. Sales, you're closing them on actually working with you, okay? And this is the biggest reason why cold calling is so difficult, okay? Because with cold calling, you're trying to do both. You're trying to market to them by identifying that the right person on the phone and qualifying that they're interested. And then once you do that, then you're also on the same phone call trying to close them on working with you. It's very difficult to do. And unless you're like Jordan Belfort or something, it's going to be really, really, really difficult to do, more than $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Now, it's possible. Like, we've seen a lot of people do it, but it's more difficult. Okay. Even more difficult is training random people to do this for you, because a lot of times when I train people on the scaling, on growing your business and all that, they say, well, I get that cold calling is hard, but one of the biggest reasons why you can't scale it is because I have to do it. So what if I just bring in a sales team? And look, you can absolutely do that, right? One of our coaches, Rick, is crushing it with a sales team. But here's the thing about a sales team. It's not easy, okay? So what you're saying is that it's already difficult for you as someone that's fully invested in the business, wants it to work, is 100% in because it is your business, right? So you are willing to put in as much work as it takes to get this to work. And what you're saying is you're having trouble with doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a bunch of salespeople and expect them to have the same level of drive and intensity when they own none of the business, right? They have commission, but they own none of the business. And on top of that, I have no experience training or managing or building a sales team. So I'm going to just wing it and hope that it works. That is a recipe for disaster. You know, one of the reasons why it's worked so well for Rick is because he's got a lot of business experience. He's got a lot of experience building sales teams. So it's not new to him. It's not new to build a sales team. And if you're watching this and you have that experience of building a sales team, hey, go for it. Feel free, knock yourself out. But for 99% of people, they don't have that experience, right? And if that's not you, hiring a bunch of people to do cold calls, it's not easy. You have to train random people off the street how to make a cold call and be really good at it. It's not easy to do that, okay? So that's why we want to separate these two and create two different parts of our business. We have a marketing department and a sales department. A sales department, their entire job is just to close leads, and marketing is to identify and qualify those leads. That's it. That's what we want to do. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how to do that. So let's talk about marketing here. We talked about how marketing was, identifying and qualifying leads, right? We talked about how we want to get people to raise their hand and say that they're interested in learning more about this. And so when we look at that, we say we're trying to identify and we're trying to qualify leads. Well, what are our goals here with that? Well, identify, we want to know that it's the right person, right? That's what we want to do. We want to identify that they're the right person with a 90% accuracy, okay? Meaning, listen, you're not always going to be 100% sure, but if you're 90% confident this is the right person, they got the same name, they have the same address, like at that point, it's going to have to be like, cool, we can move on, okay? And then we want to qualify that person. So we want to say, hey, are you interested in this? Are you in a place to even be able to do this, right? For example, I was recently working with a student in our Scale Mastery group who had basically found a deal. He was going to make $7,000 profit on the deal. Keep in mind, this is his first deal. He'd been in Scale Mastery for literally a week, okay? And anyway, long story short, he found this deal, but the guy that was owed to, he was 99 years old, and he could not get a hold of him. There's no phone numbers. But he tracked down his daughter, right? And it was this, middle-aged woman, nice woman that was very interested, wanted to learn more, yada, 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 right? Long story short, he had to qualify her. He had to say, listen, are you a power of attorney? Like, in other words, am I sending you the contracts to sign, or am I sending him the contracts that you're going to give to him? Because I need to talk to him if that's the case, right? And that's part of the qualifying too. Like, are they even able to sign, right? Are they interested in signing? Okay. So that's all part of qualifying. It's about identifying that they're the right person and then saying, listen, are they interested? Are they able to, right? Physically, are they able to? Are they in need of this money? Is there something there that you can really push on, a pain point, right? So if someone, for example, is worth $1 billion, like I recently have been doing cold calls for like Elon Musk, right? Well, Elon Musk is owed $500. So I'm calling the world's richest man as of right now is worth like just under $200 billion to give him $500. So he's not gonna be really that motivated. Okay, now that's a really extreme example, but I'm sure you see what I'm saying. If you're calling someone to give them $1,000 and they're a multi-millionaire, they're not really going to care that much, right? And so we want to see, are they super interested? Do they need the money? Versus if you call someone that, doesn't have anything and they're living paycheck to paycheck and they're about to get foreclosed on, or they just did get foreclosed on if it's a mortgage overage or a tax overage, and they don't have any money. all of a sudden now they're going to be super duper interested. They're going to be super, super duper willing to listen to you and work with you a lot quicker because they have that urgency. And if they don't have that, you're going to have to find a way to create that or find something in their life that you can really push pain onto, okay? Now that's more advanced, but again, this all goes down to the fact whether you're identifying that they're the right person and then you're qualifying them. Those are the two big steps of marketing. So the next question is, well, how do we actually do this in an automated fashion? How do we get this to that it's going on whether or not you are actively working it yourself? And there's basically two main ways to do this, okay? The first is what we call automations. Now, automations is basically using different software tools to get these things done automatically, right? Get marketing done automatically without you actually having to do anything. So that's option number one. Option number two is virtual assistants. Now, I'm going to have a whole video about virtual assistants. People make a lot of mistakes, including me, a lot of mistakes when it comes to hiring virtual assistants. In fact, most people have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they just think because, it's, inexpensive labor, you can get someone for $2, $3 an hour, because of that, it'll just make up for itself. I don't have to get the best person. When in reality, you can get a college-educated person, someone that's legit, someone that's seriously, wanting to work a full-time job, that wants a career, not a job, and is willing to, put in work and be a great asset for your business for that amount of money. But the problem is most people don't do that. They don't know what websites to hire from. They don't know the process of how to hire. They don't know what they don't know, and they end up bringing on the wrong person. To give you an example of this, when I brought on my first virtual assistant, we really needed someone, so I hired the first girl that I could find. Her name was Ruby, and not to put her on blast, but long story short, I spent a month training Ruby. I spent $500 for the month. And then at the end of it, she just left. She just literally just fell off the face of the earth. She didn't even quit. She just stopped talking to me, right? So I don't know what happened to her to this day. I don't know if she's still alive. Hopefully you are, Ruby. I have no idea, okay? But the moral of the story is I just spent a month of my life training this woman to come and work for me, spending money on her, and most importantly, spending time that I would have spent on actually getting deals and making money. I was spending on training her, and then that just all went to waste in 1 month. And that's because I didn't know how to hire, I didn't know how to train, I didn't know how to manage, I didn't know how to onboard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll be explaining all of this in the next video. So just know that this will be video number 3 in this series. But in this video, we're going to be talking about automations, okay? And so what automations are, again, it's software tools that you can plug into to, get things done automatically in your business. And I'm going to be talking about what software tools to use, but honestly, a lot of times the software tool itself is not super duper important. What's way more important is the marketing message and the timeline of which you send these. And that's why we have a really specific, niche-specific way of doing this marketing that I'll be explaining a little bit in these videos. So when it comes to automations, there's really only a few different options, right? And really, when I say there's a few different options, there's a lot of options, but I'm only going to cover a few of them because I've seen these ones work specifically very well in surplus funds. So I figure the rest of them may or may not work. We haven't given them enough data to test. But the ones that I've seen work really, really well are automated texting, or what's called ringless voicemail, which is basically just a voicemail that pops up on their phone, mass emails / cold email. Okay, both those work really, really well. And then kind of the new unknown explored territory is online advertising as far as with surplus funds, which is actually possible. A lot of people don't think it's possible. It is actually possible. Whether or not it's the best way to do it, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But it is definitely possible. So we'll be talking about basically these main 3. And then direct mail is also one of them, but that's probably not the best way to start. Okay. Okay, but we're talking about these main 3 mostly. I will also reference these 2 a little bit, but I would really recommend that you start with these 3. And so where I want to start with this is, what software do I use? And I'm not actually going to recommend a software on this on this video, because depending on what niche you're doing, if you're, doing surplus funds, you're doing wholesaling, you're doing whatever it is, you're going to want a different software, okay, depending on what that is. So I'm not going to recommend that. And again, I'm going to urge you to book that free one-on-one call with myself, one of the members on my teams. And I know people always say that. I actually take some of these calls myself, taking a lot of them myself, to be honest with you. So there's a good chance you'll be talking with me, but regardless, you'll be talking to one of my right-hand coaches, if not. And long story short, though, I don't want to recommend an exact software for you to use because it really depends on what you're doing. But what you're looking for is a software that works. I know that seems really, really obvious. Like, of course, we want a software that works. But like at the end of the day, all the bells and whistles, they don't really matter that much. It's, does the software, if you're doing texting, does it send a text successfully? If it does, awesome, you're done. If it doesn't, maybe get a new software. Okay, if you're doing ringless voicemail, does it send a voicemail? If it does, great. If it doesn't, get rid of it, okay? Do the mass emails, are they sending emails, right? I think you guys get the point here. Does it actually work? That's the main thing that matters. So with the software, I mean, really just look at price point and versus, does it work for my niche, okay? And if you want more help on what software to choose and the scripting and all that for the messages, again, book that one-on-one call. It's completely for free. I'm not pitching anything on this video. You guys know the call's for free. I'm not charging for the calls, okay? So again, just food for thought there. Now, the real interesting thing becomes where we talk about actually scripting in these videos. Now, the real interesting thing actually fucking Jesus. Now, the real interesting thing actually begins when we talk about scripting for these marketing messages. And the reason why this is important is because you're playing like this kind of tug-of-war game. So on one side, obviously you want to write a great message, okay? Because obviously, you want people to respond to that message and be interested. And so, you don't want to send out a message that's just so boring or people are not resonating with it and they're just not taking action on it, right? So you want to write a great message, but on the other side, you don't want to get in trouble with the FCC. And, and quite frankly, in other words, you don't want to break any rules or break any laws and get fined, okay? So definitely, guys, just disclaimer, don't make sure you know what you're doing here, okay? Don't do this. And this is why we run our automated marketing a really specific way, because we found a way that we think works best doing both of these things. Okay, and we've got a lot of data to prove that, okay? But again, we don't want to be stuck fighting between these two things. We want to be able to write a great message without breaking any rules with the FCC, right? And that's really the biggest key as to why scripting is so important with this, automated marketing. And so the way that a good script works is almost like if you've ever seen like those family trees where it like starts out with one person and expands from there. So, you have your intro message and then depending on what they do, it goes from there. So if they respond positively, awesome, you get on a call. If they respond negatively, then depending on what they say is what you'll follow up with. And if they don't respond at all, then you send another text or another message, right? Another ringless voicemail, another market, whatever it is. And you send another one and another one and another one and another one and another one, up to like 15 follow-ups, right? And this doesn't really take you any effort. That's the nice thing. It takes 10 seconds to send a mass of all these, right? And eventually you get to a point where you have like your bank of main text, but then you have, Hail Mary messages, right? And so these are messages that it's like, cool, we've tried following up with them 15 times. We've got some negative responses. How do we hit them with some Hail Mary, kind of some humor that might get them interested, okay? And that's basically how the script works. Now, the key thing here, though, is you need to write these messages in a way that's compelling, but also is, and when I say compelling, too, I want to make this clear, compelling for your niche specifically, okay? So, for instance, your message will be different if you're doing mortgage overages or tax overages or bankruptcies or state funds or wholesaling or fixed flipping. It's going to be different for all of that, okay? So it needs to be compelling for your niche, but it also needs to not break any rules with the FCC / I'll just put laws in general, okay? So no law breaking, no FCC breaking, but also compelling. And that's why we write these messages. We have our marketing set up in such a very specific way to help do both of these to the best of our ability, okay? And that's really the biggest key. So if you're someone right now that you're like, I really want to get this set up and get this going, again, I know I said this a lot, but I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pitch this. It's hard. I can't give you guys all the same script because number one, everyone's messages will look the same. And number two is, it needs to be specific for what you're doing. So if you are interested in that, click that link down below and watch that short 20-minute free training, and then book a one-on-one call with one of my, like myself, one of my team members, and we can actually work with you on this specifically, getting you help there. Okay. So with that being said, hopefully that makes sense. But again, the biggest thing here is you want to have kind of 10 to 15 regular follow-up texts, and then some Hail Mary, like 5 Hail Mary texts that hopefully will be good. And I'm using text as an example. Again, you could do ringless voicemails. You could have 15 ringless voicemails. You could do mass emails. You could have 15, follow-up emails. It doesn't have to be text. I'm just using this as an example because it's a lot of people like to jump with that. I don't really know why. It's not necessarily better or worse. In fact, there's some significant pros to ringless voicemail because the person on the other end actually gets to hear your voice before they even talk to you. So they have a little bit of familiarity when they actually do talk to you. Text, I don't get that, right? But again, it depends on what you want to do. So hopefully this makes sense, guys. This video's already gone on long enough. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But if you guys enjoyed this, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Part 3 will be out very, very, very soon. We'll be talking about virtual assistants and how to basically do something similar with this without actually using an expensive software for like $500 a month, right? $1,000 a month. How to get someone working in your business for super duper inexpensive the right way. So we'll be talking about that in the next video. And until then, have a wonderful day.